hit the subscribe button. Currently only 1.7% of my viewers are. Subscribe once we hit 1,000 subscribers. I'll release an exclusive special video. Just for you. Ethan Carter stared at the flickering screen, his heart pounding as Dr. Helen Morton's voice crackled through the distress signal. Ethan, if you're out there, we need you. They've taken over. Please help us. Her voice, filled with desperation, tugged at the very core of his being. The command center around him buzzed with activity, officers moving with a purpose that underscored the gravity of the situation. Ethan stood, his mind racing. The Queen alien race had always been a formidable foe, but their recent aggression was unprecedented. No one dared to engage with them, not after the last disastrous encounter. But this was different. This was personal. Ethan's gaze shifted to a photograph on his desk, him and Helen, younger and full of hope, standing before their first research outpost. She had been more than a colleague. She was a friend, a confidant. The memory fueled his resolve. He had to act even if it meant defying orders. Sir, the Council has issued a strict no-engagement directive. Lieutenant Harris reminded him, sensing his commander's internal conflict. Ethan clenched his jaw. I'm aware, Lieutenant, but Helen's on that planet. We can't just abandon them. Harris looked around, ensuring no one else could hear. With all due respect, sir, it's a suicide mission. The Queen's forces are relentless. I know. Ethan interrupted, his voice steely. But that's exactly why we need to go. If we show fear now, we'll never stand a chance in the future. He turned to his console, typing furiously. A secret mission, unsanctioned, was their only option. He couldn't risk alerting the higher-ups. The screen displayed a list of his most trusted team members. He needed people who believed in the mission as much as he did. Within hours, the team assembled in the hangar. Captain Riley, a seasoned pilot, Dr. Lisa Tran, a brilliant scientist, Corporal Davis, a combat specialist, and Sergeant Mills, a communications expert. Each one knew the risks, yet their expressions were determined. All right, everyone, Ethan began, his voice echoing in the vast space. We're going dark. No comms, no traceable signatures. This is off the books. We're going to get Dr. Morton and any survivors back. And we're going to show the Queen alien race that humanity isn't as fragile as they think. Riley nodded, her eyes sharp. Stealth mode activated. We'll slip through their defenses like shadows. Tran checked her equipment, her hands steady despite the gravity of the mission. I've developed a countermeasure to their neural inhibitors. It should give us an edge. Davis grinned, his energy infectious. I've been itching for a real challenge. Let's give them hell. Mills adjusted his headset, his focus absolute. I'll make sure we stay connected. No one gets left behind. As they boarded the ship, Ethan felt a surge of pride. This was his team, and together they were unstoppable. The journey to the occupied planet was fraught with dangers. Asteroids, alien patrols, and the vast emptiness of space tested their resolve at every turn. Their stealth ship, the Seraph, slipped through the asteroid field, Riley's piloting skills keeping them safe. Hold on, she warned as they narrowly avoided a collision. We've got incoming. Ethan's heart raced as alien ships scanned the area. They held their breath, hoping their cloaking technology would hold. Moments stretched into an eternity before the patrol moved on. We're clear, Riley announced, exhaling sharply. Ethan glanced at the team. Stay sharp. This is just the beginning. As they neared the planet, Tran deciphered the hidden message within Helen's distress signal. She's been taken to the Queen's capital, Tran reported, her voice tense. But there's more. It mentions a potential ally within their ranks. Ethan's brow furrowed. An ally? Among the Queen's forces. It's a long shot, Tran admitted. But it's all we've got. The planet's surface loomed ahead, the alien architecture imposing and unwelcoming. They landed in a secluded area, their presence undetected for now. The team disembarked, moving with precision and silence. We stick to the plan, Ethan instructed. Tran, keep us updated on their movements. Riley, secure our exit. Davis, you're with me. Mills, stay connected. Navigating through the alien city, they encountered several close calls. Patrols passed mere inches from their hiding spots. Their ally, an alien disillusioned with the Queen's regime, provided critical information, guiding them through the labyrinthine structures. At last, they reached a heavily guarded facility. Through a small window, Ethan saw Helen, restrained and visibly exhausted but alive. His heart ached, but there was no time for sentiment. On my signal, Ethan whispered. Tran, disable the neural inhibitors. Davis, be ready. They moved swiftly. Tran's device worked perfectly, the guards dropping as their neural links were severed. Davis and Ethan took down the remaining resistance, their movements coordinated and precise. Bursting into the room, Ethan rushed to Helen. Ethan, she gasped, tears in her eyes. You came. Always, he replied, cutting her bonds. We're getting you out of here. Ethan tightened his grip on his weapon as the alarms blared throughout the facility. The harsh, rhythmic sound was a stark reminder that their presence had been detected. Helen leaned on him for support, her exhaustion evident, but there was a glimmer of determination in her eyes that mirrored Ethan's resolve. The team moved swiftly through the alien corridors, every step calculated. Dr. Lisa Tran monitored their route, her eyes scanning for any signs of immediate danger. Captain Riley led the way, her expertise in navigation ensuring they avoided unnecessary confrontations. Corporal Davis and Sergeant Mills brought up the rear, their weapons at the ready. We're almost at the extraction point, Tran whispered, her voice steady despite the urgency. The facility's architecture was unlike anything they had encountered before. The walls seemed to pulse with a bioluminescent glow, casting eerie shadows that danced with their movements. The air was thick with the scent of foreign chemicals, making every breath feel heavy. Riley stopped abruptly, raising a hand to signal a halt. Ahead, a group of alien soldiers blocked their path, their insect-like exoskeletons glinting under the dim light. The soldiers communicated in a series of clicks and hisses, their language incomprehensible to human ears. Ethan motioned for silence, then signaled Davis to flank left while Mills took the right. Riley and Tran stayed with him, Helen securely between them. The group split, moving with the grace and silence of predators in enemy territory. Davis moved like a shadow, his years of combat training evident in every step. He managed to get behind the aliens unnoticed, his weapon ready. Mills did the same on the opposite side, his sharp eyes fixed on their targets. Ethan gave the signal. In a coordinated strike, Davis and Mills fired their weapons, the alien soldiers falling before they could react. The team regrouped quickly, pressing on before reinforcements could arrive. They reached the extraction point, a large chamber with a high ceiling and an array of alien machinery that hummed with an energy unfamiliar to them. Riley activated the beacon, signaling their ship for immediate pickup. As they waited, Ethan turned to Helen. Are you all right? Helen nodded weakly. I'll manage. We need to get out of here. Ethan's thoughts were interrupted by a sudden tremor that shook the ground. What now? He muttered, scanning the area for the source of the disturbance. Tran's device beeped urgently. They've activated the facility's self-destruct sequence. We have less than 10 minutes to get out of here. The team exchanged quick, grim looks. There was no room for error now. Every second counted. Ethan helped Helen to her feet, and they moved as one, the urgency of their situation driving them forward. The sound of approaching footsteps echoed through the chamber. The alien forces were closing in. Ethan's mind raced, calculating their next move. Tran, can you override the self-destruct? She shook her head. Not without more time, and that's something we don't have. Their ship, the Seraph, arrived just as the first wave of alien soldiers burst into the chamber. Riley fired up the engines and the ramp lowered. Move, 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 she shouted. The team sprinted for the ship, Davis and Mills laying down suppressing fire to cover their retreat. Ethan was the last to board, ensuring everyone was safe before hitting the ramp control. Go! He yelled to Riley, who didn't need to be told twice. The Seraph lifted off, the facility shrinking rapidly behind them. As they ascended, a massive explosion rocked the ground below. The facility imploded, sending debris and a shockwave that buffeted the Seraph. Riley expertly maneuvered the ship, stabilizing their flight path. Ethan collapsed into a seat, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Helen sat beside him, her hand finding his. "Thank you, Ethan," she said softly, her voice filled with gratitude. He managed a weary smile. "We're not out of this yet, Helen, but we'll get there." Tran approached, her expression serious. "We've bought ourselves some time, but the Queen will know we're coming for her. We need to be ready for what's next." Ethan nodded, his resolve hardening. "We'll be ready. We've come this far, and we won't stop now." As the Seraph soared through the atmosphere, the team regrouped, their minds already on the next steps. Ethan paced the control room of the Seraph, his thoughts a storm of strategy and concern. The ship sailed silently through the stars, every system humming with controlled efficiency. Helen, now resting in the medical bay, had shared everything she knew about the Queen alien race's latest plans. Their objective was clear: infiltrate the Queen's capital and strike at the heart of their operation. Dr. Lisa Tran monitored the sensors, her fingers flying across the console. "We're approaching the Queen's domain. The defenses are even more intricate than we anticipated. We'll need to stay completely undetected." Captain Riley, her eyes fixed on the navigation display, nodded. "We have to be ghosts. One false move and we're done." Ethan gathered his team for a final briefing. "We've been through a lot to get here. Remember, our goal is to disable the Queen's neural network and extract vital intelligence. Tran, you'll handle the tech. Riley, you keep us on course. Davis and Mills, you're on security. Let's move." The capital was a sprawling fortress, its alien architecture both awe-inspiring and intimidating. The team deployed, slipping past patrols and security systems with practiced precision. The corridors were dimly lit, casting long shadows that seemed to move with them. As they neared the central hub, Tran halted. "This is it. The mainframe is behind that door. I'll need a few minutes to override the security protocols." Davis and Mills took positions, their eyes scanning for threats. Ethan stood beside Tran, ready to defend her if needed. The air was thick with anticipation as she worked, her device beeping softly with each successful bypass. Suddenly, a squad of alien guards appeared, their movements sharp and coordinated. Davis reacted instantly, firing at the closest one. "We've got company." Ethan joined the fray, his weapon precise and deadly. The team fought with a fluidity born of countless missions together, each member playing their part to perfection. Tran remained focused, her fingers never faltering even as the battle raged around her. "Almost there," she muttered, sweat beading on her forehead. "Just a few more seconds." Riley's voice crackled over the comms. "More reinforcements incoming. We need to hurry." With a final keystroke, Tran grinned. "Got it. The network is down. Let's move." They retreated swiftly, navigating the labyrinthine corridors back to their extraction point. The Queen's forces were in disarray, their communications disrupted by the hack. But the team knew this advantage was temporary. As they reached the exit, an imposing figure blocked their path. The Queen herself stood before them, her presence radiating authority and menace. Ethan stepped forward, his stance defiant. "You've come far, human," the Queen hissed, her voice a blend of curiosity and contempt. "But your efforts are futile." Ethan met her gaze, unyielding. "We'll see about that. We're not leaving without the information we came for." The Queen's eyes narrowed, and with a swift motion, she attacked. Ethan dodged, countering with a strike of his own. The team moved as one, engaging the Queen with a mixture of agility and firepower. The battle was fierce, every move calculated to exploit any weakness. Despite their combined strength, the Queen was formidable. Her speed and power were unmatched, and it became clear that defeating her in direct combat would be impossible. Ethan, realizing this, signaled a retreat. "Riley, get us out of here," he shouted, covering his team's escape. The Seraph's engines roared to life as the ramp closed behind them. They lifted off, the Queen's capital shrinking below. Ethan sank into a chair, his body aching but his mind sharp. "We did it," Tran said, her voice a mix of exhaustion and triumph. "We have the data." Ethan nodded, his thoughts already on the next steps. "Good work, everyone. But this is just the beginning. We need to analyze this information and prepare for the next phase." The team dispersed to their stations, each member reflecting on the battle they had just survived. The Queen's words lingered in Ethan's mind, a reminder of the challenge that lay ahead. But for now, they had won a crucial victory, and that was enough. Ethan Carter stood in the briefing room, surrounded by his team. They had achieved the impossible by infiltrating the Queen's fortress and disrupting her network. But the final phase lay ahead. The intelligence they had extracted revealed a critical weakness in the Queen's plans. A central control node that, if destroyed, would cripple her forces. "Here's the situation," Ethan began, pointing to a holographic map of the Queen's capital. "This node is heavily fortified, deep within the core structure. Our mission is to get in, plant the charges, and get out before they realize what hit them." Dr. Lisa Tran, eyes scanning the data, spoke up. "The security is tighter than anything we've seen. We'll need to use every trick we've got." Captain Riley adjusted her helmet, her expression resolute. "We've faced worse odds. Let's do this." The team moved to the hangar, the atmosphere electric with anticipation. The Seraph's engines roared to life, and they sped towards their target, cloaked in stealth mode. As they approached the core, the ship shuddered, turbulence from the planetary defenses testing their resolve. They landed undetected, thanks to Riley's expert piloting. Ethan led the team into the labyrinthine corridors of the Queen's fortress, every step measured and cautious. The alien technology around them pulsed with a strange, almost organic life, a testament to the Queen's advanced engineering. Sergeant Mills, keeping a close watch on their surroundings, whispered, "Movement up ahead. Stay sharp." The team pressed on, encountering minimal resistance until they reached the central chamber. The control node, a pulsating sphere of energy, was guarded by an elite cadre of the Queen's soldiers. Ethan signaled for Tran to prepare the charges. "We need to take them out quietly," Ethan instructed. "Tran, set the charges while we handle the guards." Davis and Mills moved into position, their movements synchronized. With surgical precision, they dispatched the guards, leaving the path clear for Tran. She approached the node, her hands steady as she placed the explosives. "Charges set," she confirmed. "We have 5 minutes to get clear." As they turned to leave, a familiar voice echoed through the chamber. The Queen stepped forward, her presence commanding and fierce. "You think you can defeat me so easily?" she sneered. "Your arrogance will be your downfall." Ethan stood firm, meeting her gaze. "It's over. You've lost." The Queen laughed, a sound devoid of humor. "You underestimate me, human. My reach extends far beyond this place." With a swift motion, she activated a hidden panel, revealing a massive hologram displaying Earth. Her forces were poised to strike at the heart of humanity, a preemptive assault to crush any resistance. "We need to go now," Riley shouted, urgency in her voice. Ethan's mind raced. Destroying the node would stop the immediate threat, but Earth's safety was paramount. He made a quick decision. "Tran, can you reprogram the charges?" Tran hesitated, then nodded. "I can set them to emit an EMP. It'll disable their systems long enough for us to warn Earth." "Do it," Ethan ordered. Tran reprogrammed the explosives, her fingers flying over the controls. The rest of the team formed a defensive perimeter, ready to fend off any attack. The Queen watched, her expression unreadable. "Your resistance is futile," she said. "Even if you disable my forces here, others will come." Ethan smiled grimly. "We'll be ready." The EMP charges detonated, sending a wave of energy through the fortress. The lights flickered, and the alien machinery ground to a halt. The Queen's soldiers collapsed, their neural links severed. Move, Ethan commanded. The team sprinted back to the Seraph, the fortress crumbling around them. They boarded the ship, and Riley launched them into space, leaving the Queen's domain in ruins. As they ascended, Ethan activated the long-range communications array. Seraph to Earth command, do you copy? A voice crackled through the speakers. Earth command here. We read you, Seraph. Ethan took a deep breath. The Queen's forces are planning an assault on Earth. We've disabled their main control node, but you need to prepare for an attack. Understood. We're mobilizing our defenses. Good work, Seraph. Ethan turned to his team, pride swelling in his chest. We did it. We've bought Earth the time it needs. Tran slumped into a chair, exhaustion catching up with her. Let's hope it's enough. Riley guided the Seraph back towards their home, the ship cutting through space with renewed purpose. The mission had tested their limits, but they had emerged victorious. The threat of the Queen was far from over, but they had shown that humanity would not be easily defeated.